Ding dong. Hello.
This is Gilbert, and welcome to the destruction. I said it wrong. Distraction. I said destruction. It's distraction. You gotta get it right, man. What the hell is wrong with you? This is Gilbert, and welcome to the destruction.
Thank you, Gilbert. I'm Jeremy Lambert, joined, as always, by the chubby chief, Joseph Hulbert. Joseph, how are you?
I forgot that was a thing we were going to do. I thought my camera had turned off. I was terrified, and I looked at my screen, and Gilbert was just screaming at me about the destruction. We need to rename this show Destruction. I was already thrown off because it's a Tuesday. We're talking about wrestling. I come on here, and I'm told that this is an NBA podcast after all. All of my Survivor Series extensive notes are down the drain. And then Gilbert is shouting at me. What a start this is. Wow, we're in for a show, folks.
Joining us today from Sportskeeda, Bleacher Report, Complex, everywhere on the internet. Literally everywhere. Phil Lindsey. What's up, Phil?
Going on, guys? I didn't know I was going to be graced by Gilbert here, man. I'm clearly not, the biggest name on the show anymore. Like, he's got Gilbert here. I can't compete with Gilbert.
Our buddy Tank Bearclaw purchased that for us and sent it last night, and I was like, well, this is amazing. We're gonna play the full thing. It's a longer video. We're gonna play the full thing at the end of the show, but I clipped that part of it to have as the intro, and that's our new intro, Joseph. Every single week people are gonna have this intro. Okay. We wanted a theme song. We got Gilbert doing the intro for us.
That's fair. Look, it's very on brand for us that he's the guy that we're going to be using as our intro. So I can't even argue with it, Jeremy. It's fine with me. I just wish I'd have remembered before the absolute insanity took place on my screen there, because that was a sight, man. That was very scary.
I'm glad you didn't remember, because I didn't know you knew about the cameo. I was hoping to surprise you with it, but apparently Tank sent it to you as well, and that was honestly disappointing to find out you knew about it as well.
You didn't even so is Ding Dong part of the intro now?
No. I'm a Bailey stan now. So
is that like a thing?
Nod to Bailey. I mean, for this week, it's my thing.
The Bailey fans right now are like, Jeremy gets on board now. Of course, things are starting to turn badly. Turn south for poor Bailey. Jeremy's like, I'm a big Bailey fan now. Suddenly, Peyton Royce is going over in the first limit. All of a sudden, things are falling apart. But yes, I don't even know how we're going to. Wow, that was quite the. I'm glad we have a guest today, because it was just you and I trying to top Gilbert. We might as well just log off now. Pack it in for the day.
Friends, we're here to talk about Survivor Series, Raw, anything else wrestling related. We are here on a Tuesday. Usually Thursdays is our big wrestling basketball show, but schedules got switched around. Jack Crosby from CBS Sports was supposed to join us. He has a real job, like a loser, so he couldn't do the show this week to review Body Slam. He will come back on the show at some point whenever he can fight his bosses and get time off. I told him to just punch him in the face, Bret Hart style. I don't know if he did it, but he should. He definitely should. No Thursday show this week. It's Thanksgiving. Go celebrate with your family. Don't hang out with us. You got better things to do. Listen to us. Joseph, your internet keeps cutting in and out, and I'm going to fight you over that.
It's very bad. It's very, very bad. But I am wearing the Bret shirt in homage to Jack, as he is not here. He's our fallen film reviewer today.
Yes. It was supposed to be Bret Hart shirt day with Jack, but we didn't do that because Jack's not here. So you're just jumping the gun on that gimmick.
Don't know when it will be, Jeremy. I do not know when it will be. So I just want to get that out there now, okay?
Guys, subscribe to the channel at youtube.com/Fightful. Sign up to Fightful Select. Leave us a thumbs up. Tap the bell for notifications. Send us a super chat. Get your question, comment, statement read on air. Best way to support us. Really appreciate your super chats. Our buddy JJ sends us one. Says, Gilbert supporting my favorite duo who should be on Quizzlemania. What's up, Phil? Thank you as always for a distraction. JJ, you are awesome. We appreciate it. Let's get into it. Let's get into Survivor Series. Let's get into this beef I have with you, Phil, over Lana. We're going to start off hot, okay? You were dissing Lana. You didn't like the Survivor Series finish. I don't know what you thought of the match last night, because I didn't have to watch Raw last night. What's your deal with Lana, Phil? Let's squash this right now. What's up with your beef with Lana and me? I think Phil's frozen. So that's a great start.
You froze Phil to win the argument. You piece of shit, Jeremy. You froze him.
I legitimately did it. I will mute microphones. I did it to you last week. I did not purposely freeze Phil just to win this argument, but it works out. Now Phil's gone. Phil will be back hopefully. So, what a show we have, ladies.
This is a catastrophe, Jeremy.
Gilbert has just ruined the show. First show with the Gilbert intro, and we're already off the rails, as you would expect from us. Joseph, what's your beef with Lana? Do you have beef with Lana?
I feel like we did this, but okay. My beef with Lana, Jeremy, it's not so much Lana as much as the whole Raw Women's Division, and kind of by default as Survivor Series, then the SmackDown Women's Division became hinged upon the babyface tale of Lana, which is just, it's tough for me. But Phil's back now, and he can take the ball from here. But
Phil doesn't have a camera.
I didn't have a camera a minute ago. It didn't stop me. It'll be fine. There we go.
Phil, are you there?
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know what just happened.
Phil, what's your beef with Lana? I think he's going to freeze again.
Okay, I'm here. Can you guys see me?
Allegedly, you're here. Sources cannot confirm that you are actually here.
Sources cannot confirm.
Phil, you're freezing up so much, buddy.
Like, I can see you guys, but
it seems okay right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna boot Phil from the show.
We had a fine connection literally 20 minutes before going on air, and now this whole show is falling apart.
Yeah, now it's
Gilbert finished it.
Gilbert just. I'm just gonna play the Gilbert intro again. Just like that's gonna be our whole show.
Broke everyone's internet.
Yeah. Phil, do you have beef with Lana? Joseph's camera is completely gone. Phil is frozen. What has happened to this show? This is why we don't do the show on a Tuesday. What is going on here?
Are we back?
I have no idea.
Oh my God.
Evan Wright sends us a super chat. And it says, just wanted to send my appreciation to the lads. Phil is an awesome human. Joe rules. Jeremy is the point god of all point gods. You guys all rule. Thank you, Evan. We appreciate that. Send us super chats. That's going to be the whole show today. It's just me reading super chats.
That means that you're a better point god than Chris Paul because you're the point god of all point gods. That feels too far.
No. Why?
I don't know, man. Chris Paul's pretty good.
Yeah. How many titles he won? I'm hanging banners every day.
Okay. Interesting time for that point, but I agree.
We're just going to get Phil as the background laugh track for today's show.
Would you like me to talk Lana? What are we doing with Lana here, folks?
But it seems like he was working for like 2 seconds and then it didn't happen. Oh my God, Phil. I don't know. I apologize. I don't know how long we can keep going with this.
My camera is breaking. This is very bad. This is a catastrophe.
This is like really bizarre. That was weird. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, for now. We'll see what happens in 2 seconds. Phil, do you have beef with Lana? What's going on here?
I do not have beef with Lana. I have beef with the way WWE is kind of using her at the moment.
How are they supposed to use her? They're going to put the title on her. That's the perfect use.
Oh my God. Please don't wish that on us. No.
I've been wishing this for like 2 months.
No.
It's been wished.
No.
How would you book Lana, Phil?
I don't know, because the thing is, Lana's really good at what she does. Like, she's good at like all of the entertainment half of it. She's not a bad wrestler either, but she's not someone that we should be focusing segments around every week. Like, it's way too much Lana at the moment.
Yes. I'm now going to stop Jeremy before he explains that this is good. It is important to have context on these things, right? And it's like, never has a promotion had more top-tier female talent under contract. And yet here we are. We are doing a long, lengthy build to what I assume will be Lana putting Nia through a table at TLC. And then they're going to reassess what they've got after all of this work and say, oh, well, that's that now. Now do we do? And there's just no reason for that when you look at Survivor Series, there was an obvious option for someone to win that match, right? It's hard to look past that element of it. If you just if you watch it in a vacuum and it's like, is it fun, silly stuff? Sometimes, kind of. But with the rest of it,
breaking his microphone over Lana,
destroying it. With the rest of it, it's a disaster. You know, my camera is destroyed.
Oh my god,
it's a mess because we know what it could be, and instead it's a long build to an angle that we all know the finish of, and it's like, where does it go then? Because none of us want Lana as champ. I'm sorry, Jeremy. I know you do, but no one else does.
My buddy Tape Machines, big star CJ Lana Perry would like Lana as champion.
Doesn't watch the show, has no interest in watching the show, will not watch the show for Lana winning the title. Not a concern of anyone, and he would agree with that.
You guys are haters. First off, Evan writes in the super chat, says that I missed the Phil draft rant. I need that. No, basketball talk is at the end of the show, like usual. I missed
my draft rant.
Yes, basketball talks at the end of the show. We got to talk about wrestling first. That's why we're a wrestling website, allegedly. I'm trying to change that every single day. Sean and Jimmy don't listen to me, though. Don't know why. I feel like I have good ideas. They just don't listen to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just was going to do some wrestling talk. Let's talk a little generally about the women's division deal at Survivor Series, the 5-on-5 deal. Did we... I tweeted this, but I was almost amazed at my investment when it was SmackDown's final 3 baby faces. And it was like, I had no faith in them actually coming out of that with a win. And I was all in on rooting for them. For a moment there, I was like a 6-year-old child, like, please Liv, just kill Nia. I don't know, do something. But it wasn't happening. I knew it wasn't going to happen. And as a heel, speaking as a heel here, folks, that's Lana, Nia being a heel, nothing personal, to be clear. But that's what I was doing. And it ended, and I was sort of like, I don't know if that was good, but I was into it. And it really felt like they built the table, they set the table correctly for Bianca doing the heroic win. They had that also. I thought her sell there with Shayna's choke was like the perfect first step of the big heroic comeback and win. And instead, she was counted out 30 seconds later. Now, again, in a vacuum, was the finish smart for what they're trying to do? Sure. Is what they're trying to do useful in any way, shape, or form? That is the part to debate.
Phil, what'd you make of the Survivor Series women's match, the 5-on-5 elimination?
There was a lot to like about it because I think it was smart to the way they booked the SmackDown women was very, very smart because Bayley has had all the screen time for months. So you took Bayley out immediately and then you let the other women shine. And I thought that was great. Liv looked great. Bianca looked great. Ruby even had moments where she looked good. But to then do all of that and then end the match that way just made absolutely no sense to me. It didn't help Lana, in my opinion. And I don't know. I don't know how we were supposed to feel as Bianca fans. I don't think that she was robbed of a win here, but it was kind of like, oh, we watched all that just to get a count out on a pay-per-view? Nah, no thanks.
Bit dropping aside, I was very worried that when they did the Bianca Nia thing on the outside, Bianca was going to get into the ring and celebrate that Nia had been counted out, and Lana was just going to roll her up, which I feel would have been a complete disaster.
Yeah. If
they're going to have Lana do the sole survivor gimmick, that was probably the best way they could have done it. Should Lana have been the sole survivor and been in that position? Obviously, of course, but truthfully, no. It should have been Bianca's time to shine, and they should have put her over strong. Instead, they did that.
Yeah, and I think you can do the Lana sole survivor thing. If Nia made it back onto the apron first, and then Lana came up behind her and pulled her leg out and tripped her and caused the count out, all right, I can get behind that because she did something other than just stand there. Like she just stood there. Nothing about that is interesting.
Yes, it was a babyface triumph in which the babyface stood and watched an actual babyface struggle to get into the ring, not get into the ring. So the person we're rooting for doesn't win. And then we're like, oh yeah, Lana won. Great. Like, but it didn't achieve anything. And especially because, again, like I assume the actual payoff to this is eventually something with a table and Nia. And it's like, to me, this isn't the climax, the angle. So why even give Lana that victory? Like, you'd be better off just keep going with the silliness you're doing, and then eventually she finally gets the one up, and then that's the end of it. Now it's like you've just sort of half done it, and you're going to continue it. And that's what I wanted to, we can get into that now, because just talking generally about the division, it's like, I think we all left Survivor Series saying, okay, Asuka's really great. We forgot. Now let's give her a great program. And they said, good idea. Let's do a tag team with Lana. So, and this is where the frustration comes from, right? Lana it's not Lana's fault. The issue is this is not a side angle. This is now the centerpiece of the division. Like, Asuka is now in this thing. So that's where I'm at. And I'm sure Phil probably agrees with that, right?
Right. Because you're now you're now tying up two titles with this thing. You're now tying up the tag titles and the Raw Women's title for this thing. It's just too much. I mean, if this is just like a comedy angle every week, cool. But like, where are you going with this? You're not gonna make Lana champion. And if the goal is to make Lana a tag champion with Asuka, nobody wants that. Like, Kabuki Warriors are vastly superior. Why on earth would we want Asuka and Lana as champion?
Yes, and once sorry, Jeremy, but once that we're going now, Jeremy, you can just leave the show. We're talking about Lana sucking and all this stuff. Okay, we're carrying on. I like that. That's very good. That's very good. I appreciate that. Okay, but the one person, obviously Asuka is the champ, but out of the other three people in this angle, the one person who could be of use to them in a higher position is Shayna. And to me, each week she spends in this angle, she's capped even further as a prelim act. She's the least important part of this angle. Initially, at the start of this team, she was like a babyface tweener. And the whole thing was her and Nia were like an odd couple deal, right? And they clashed a lot. She's now just Nia's sidekick. She just cleans the table up for her. It's like, it's inexplicable the way they use the resources at hand. Now, again, if you enjoy it, that's fine. I'm just saying, big picture, man, it feels like a whole waste of time to me.
Why is it a waste of time, though? All right, so it seems like they're building towards Lana and Asuka winning the tag team titles.
No one's getting over.
Tables match.
No one's getting over, Jeremy, and you know it.
That's the whole company, though. That's the whole company. No one's getting over.
That's why it's a waste of time. Right now,
the whole company's a waste of time.
We could have done Bianca Belair, and we could be setting her up to win the Rumble and then go to WrestleMania. We could have brought Rhea Ripley up and set her up to do the same thing. And instead, what we achieved was an extra month of Lana, which will then lead to absolutely nothing, because they're going to realize at the end of it, oh, no one wants Lana as champ. Now what do we do?
They're on different brands, though. They can still do that stuff with Bianca.
But this is a big four pay-per-view. It's a waste of an opportunity. You can get someone over. These are tools to get people over. We've seen it through history. These are the moments where you actually say, okay, pick someone, let's make them a start. That's why the Big E stuff frustrated me. He doesn't need to be on the team. Well, why are we booking the match then if it's so inconsequential people don't need to be on the team? It's just silliness. There's no stakes whatsoever. It's brand supremacy. Can we get someone over at least? Can we just try? Can we try and make a new star maybe? I don't know. I'm going in rant mode here, but I'm going to clip this up and make a fool of me. But it just is frustrating. And you know it, Jeremy Lambert, doing that shake of the head.
I do know it. My favorite part of this is you're in. You're back. You're the leader of the tag team division again. I thought you were tired from this. You were ready to leave it all behind and it was over. Now you're back as the president and you're fighting for this division and these titles and everything.
I have no interest in the tag titles. I'm talking about the actual titles, The tag titles, they're gone. They're finished. Forget it. Move on. It's done. But yes, it's infuriating to me. It's just when I actually have to sit and think about it. When I'm just watching it, it's fine. But when you think of what it could be, man, it's tough. When you see Asuka and Shayna doing like little exchanges in a random tag match, it's like, wow, probably should be doing something better with this here. You know, it's not fun.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at Liv and Ruby, they should be tag champions. I mean, everything about them, their presentation, the way they work together, they should be tag champions. I don't know why they are waiting so long to just put the belts on them.
I don't either, but it feels like there's a disconnect with. It feels to me like there's a disconnect with what we see in Ruby Riott and what they see. Liv, I'm less sure. They definitely seem to have high hopes for Liv at one point. I hope still so. But like when Ruby came back and didn't win a match for months, it was like, geez, man. Because me as a fan, when Ruby came back, I was excited for that. I think Ruby's one of the more versatile women they have in the sense that she can be a tremendous like underdog babyface, and she can also be a like resentful heel. To them, though, it seems like she's just another body almost, and that's concerning to me. I mean, it'll be interesting when eventually Mandy and Dana is back as a team. It's like, to me, it's obvious which babyface team you go with, right? Like you just said it then. It's like it's Liv and Ruby.
It is.
If they go the other way, then it will be pretty telling, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest problems with the introduction of the tag title is they have not designated any women in the division as tag team wrestlers. They're just kind of like, oh, we're going to throw these two together, and now they're tag team wrestlers. They've got to decide like who are going to be your tag teams and who are going to stay your tag teams. Otherwise, you're going to keep having the same problem.
Yes, I think there's two approaches. You could either commit, like you just said there, to a core group of teams, right? Or if you didn't want to do that, you didn't have faith in that as a system, you could even do it in a way of like, you know how in New Japan, when they'll do the tag league, everyone has like their go-to partner, right? Like even top stars have like, I remember for years, Tanahashi would team with like Captain New Japan. You could even do it in a way where every woman, at least we know vaguely that's someone that she would team with in that setting. And that's even a loose way of doing it. Unfortunately, they've done neither of those. They're like in the middle where it's like some people are just so distant from the tag division until they need to do one tag match and then it's gone again. So it's like, yeah, it's a wasted opportunity. But I hate to say this, but it's the like I'm at a point where I've just lost all optimism and faith in that particular. Like I think the women's title stuff, it can always be saved. I think it will always be pretty good by like Mania time. The tag title stuff, man, I'm just like, you know, there's only so much stuff I can care about at times.
I don't know. I don't want to keep ranting about the tag division, but I felt they were onto something with Sasha and Bayley as champions. And once they took the titles off of them, they had the chance to make the next tag team like the team to build the division around. And they go, nope, we're going to do the Frankenstein team with Nia and Shayna. Okay. To what end?
Lana as the women's tag team champion. That's the end of all
That's
this.
it, though. It's short-term plays. And in the moment, we're not saying it's terrible stuff. So, like, if you enjoy everything that's going on TV, I'm not saying you're wrong because I think a lot of it's fine TV. When we're talking about big picture, right, like where this long-term end game of this is. And it's like you watch Nia and Shayna, it's like, that was a good match. But we all know they're not going to be a team forever. You know, exactly. Like, you're doing something... It's like just building another bridge, and then eventually you keep running out of these, man. It's just, at some point, you know, if the division's going to... I mean, the one thing is, I guess, is when you look at the men's tag titles, I mean, they have had one of the greatest teams in history in that division for, 5-6 years now with New Day? And it's like, it's still a struggle for them to even put effort into that. So it's not surprising to me that they struggle to do it with the women. It's, in fact, very on brand for them to be like, tag titles, who needs them, right? But it is frustrating, definitely.
We got a super chat from Evan Wright about a former women's tag team champion, now on a new tag team. Peyton eliminated Bayley, and she'll get nothing. Peyton eliminated Bayley, and then was like immediately eliminated right after that. I have no faith that this is leading to like anything, honestly. I don't.
I really want to believe that they could do something with this, but they won't because just the way that where it is, like, because you're not going to build that into a TLC match. And you're not going to probably give Peyton the Royal Rumble win either. So, I don't know. Where's this going? I think it was great, and I want to hope otherwise, but it's probably not going nowhere.
this feels to me like a good example. And I apologize if folks have heard me say this before, because I do repeat myself a lot on this show, but it feels like an example of someone needing to like step in before any of this is done and just be like, okay, where are we actually going to do this? Because I am sure the idea was split up the Iconics. We're going to push Peyton Royce, right? I 100% believe their intentions were pure in that sense. But someone needed to put their hand up and go, okay, when are we actually going to do the push part? Or are we just going to like pretend it for a week and then forget and put in another tag team? Because if you look at what they're doing on Raw, it's like Mania season's coming. It's soon. And we don't think Peyton's going to be involved in that stuff. Maybe we're wrong for that, but I don't anyway.
No.
And you kind of look at, they're doing the whole thing with Alexa. Charlotte's still looming. She's going to be back. And so someone should have just said, look, guys, we're probably not going to be able to do a Peyton push. Maybe we should keep her in the tag team that people like. Maybe.
They don't have anything long term though. Like to switch directions to the men's thing, the Raw men's team did a clean sweep of the SmackDown men's team, right? What happened to the Raw men's team 6 days before that? They lost the Retribution. What happened last night on Raw? Retribution was not on Raw. Like there is no actual rhyme or reason to any of this. Like you said, Joseph, they're just building a short-term bridge, and that's all it is. Like they don't have any long-term concrete plans. They're just like, what can we do tonight that might make sense? We might follow up on, we might not. Like that's the entire company. Outside of like the Reign stuff. The Reign stuff, it seems like there's an actual long-term plan. Everything else, no. It's just what can we do this week to fill 5 hours of television across these two shows? Phil is disconnected.
I agree, but it is less of an urgent priority to me because I look at the team that Raw has, and I think 4 of those guys, whether you like all 4 of them or don't, are in a position where they're 1 win away from being in a thing. Like Sheamus, he loses a lot, but honestly, they can heat him up and he can do a program with Drew and it'll be fine. What's more concerning with the women to me is we are increasing the gap between the group that they've been pushing now for 4 years and the rest. And with each time they do stuff where they prioritize a woman who's never going to be in that top group, the gap gets bigger every single time. And that group is the Horsewomen, Asuka and Alexa, because they've been on TV consistently and they've always been in stuff. Asuka for a while faded away, but now she's way back in that, right? And it's like the longer you go without adding to that group, the less exciting options and possibilities we have. And Lana's never going to be in that group. With the men, it's like, it's an embarrassment of riches for guys that are like upper mid-card guys with the men. Like AJ Styles can at any point be a title challenger and we'll happily watch it and be like, sure, we may not think he's going to win. So while I agree with you, the booking it sucks. It's like when Bobby Lashley's your 8th guy from the top, you'll be okay. You can figure things out, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. I chuckled because what they did with Peyton is what I wanted them to do was Big E in the men's, and it didn't happen for some reason. I don't know. I've kind of made up my own headcanon that SmackDown got washed like that because Big E wasn't on the team, and they didn't have any leadership. And they kind of picked Seth as their leader, de facto leader, and he like abandoned them, and they just got basically squashed. And I would really hope that they go back to that storyline later, but I don't think that they would because it's kind of too smart for them.
Well, I'm actually glad you brought Biggie up because we should talk about that because there's a lot of debate about like where he's headed, right? Like people can laugh and call it complete optimism and naivety on my part, but I was pretty convinced that he was going to be Roman's opponent at Mania. And granted, anyone could say to me, that's your fault. They didn't tell us that. It's your head. But like, where would you say, Phil, you are on the concerned scale about Big E's sort of singles run at this point? Because it's been a little bit ominous the last month, right?
I was about 99% sure he was going to win the Rumble about 2 months ago. I still think he could win the Rumble, but I really think they are. I really think they are smelling, they're filling in the air, bringing a Rock back. And I feel like Rock Roman is too good for some people to feel like they should pass up. I don't think they should do that. I think they should do Roman versus Big E for numerous reasons, but I don't think they're going to pass up on a marquee match. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get Rock versus Roman.
It's interesting, right? Because there are some short-term plays that are almost too blockbuster to pass up, aren't there? You know? And I speaking as a fan, that's like we watch this stuff every week and we cover it. So we're entrenched in it. We are in the bubble, even if we don't want to be sometimes.
Right.
Being that person, my camera turned off. Being that person, I would like to see a story that is kind of the start of something special for this era, which to me is the idea of a character like Big E staying true to his roots and being the locker room leader while Roman Reigns sold his soul effectively to be with Heyman and you know, do that whole deal. To me, that's like a generational program, potentially. But at the same time, I would get it, right? I think we all would understand if the Rock thing is like, the Rock is a big enough deal. It's not like, Goldberg is probably a good example of a guy where it's like, as much as I enjoy the Goldberg nonsense, it isn't an actual big deal in the real world, right? The Rock is. So
right.
I would get it, but I agree with you. And my concern is that we're going to just get to like, oh, he won the IC title. It's like, great. You know, like, he could have done that in New Day. That's not a big deal to me.
Right.
I think the concern with bringing in Rock when it pertains to Big E is like, if Roman beats Rock, then if Big E is the guy to beat Roman, it ups his star even more. The problem with that is, do they just backburn Big E even further and to the point where they just forget about him because that's what they like to do? Big E not being on the Survivor Series team or even in the little gimmick battle royal thing, whatever it's called, that's a little concerning to me. He hasn't done anything since he beat Sheamus. He's been doing the segments with Street Profits. He was out there with New Day. They did the big like New Day reunion, and it was just, here's our Gears of War stuff. And then he just walked to the back. Like, people can say, oh, they're protecting him. They didn't want him to take a loss in the Survivor Series match. They didn't want him to take a loss in this battle royal. He can win. Like, they can book this stuff to where he wins this stuff. It's not difficult, right? Like, he could have won that battle royal.
This show is like a documentation of Jeremy like suddenly getting passionate again about his hatred of WWF booking. Like, he came into this being like, oh, Phil and Joel whine a little, I'll do some Lana silliness and we'll get out of here. He's now suddenly like going to Raw, mate. My camera sucks. So I don't know.
He's
I don't know. He's getting there. By the end of this, we're going to be calming him down. Phil. I don't know where it's headed, but what do we have to hit on Survivor Series? Let's talk a little bit. We mentioned Roman with the Big E stuff. Where were we at on that match? Roman and Drew. It seemed to be pretty popular from what I could gather. There was a couple takes the other way, but where was you at on that, Phil? Drew and Roman.
I really enjoyed it. I was glad they went with Roman and Drew because it seemed like we were getting Orton versus Roman, which isn't as interesting in my opinion. And I thought they did a great job of promoting the match in just 2 weeks. But I thought it was great.
Joseph, you seem like you have a take on this.
I mean, I can do a take. Do you want me to do a take? I'll do a take. The one thing I thought was interesting about this match was it's obvious to me that Roman is prioritizing the heel character right now. And he's you know, he knows that the priority right now is this character needs to be established. He needs to work in a way that even the biggest, most ardent Roman Reigns fan who's supported him for 5 years is like, oh, I hope Drew wins. Yeah, that's what his job is right now. And he's making a point of that. And what was interesting about that was Drew generally as a babyface is most fun when he's just like in fights with people. When he's, you know, either he's got a bump in here or he's working a guy like Lashley who he can just have like a hoss fight with. But for the first two portions of this match, he was like a traditional babyface because Roman is a traditional heel right now. And it was just interesting to watch them figure that out because, 18 months ago, they were on the complete opposite sides of the coin. So that was fun. But once as soon as Roman like just loosens up a little bit and he's like, okay, now we can do something like a finishing stretch, you get reminded of how great he is. I thought the match was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it very much. Jeremy, do you have a take on this match?
I thought it was a great match. I don't know why people are like trying to bury this match. Like, I don't get it. I thought it was a great match between two very good professional wrestlers. That was it. It was a hot closing stretch. It would have been better with a crowd. I think the piped in crowd stuff actually like hurts the enjoyment for some people because they just can't get over the fake "this is awesome" chants and the fake ambience noise and stuff. And so they're like, oh, this isn't really that great. Like this fake noise is ruining this match for me. I feel like it's just a contrarian take that people want to throw out there and not actually paying attention to the match.
Wow. You're coming in hot with these. You just busted out a contrarian take here on the track. My God, that sounds like this show. Okay, then, Mr. Lambert, I'll ask you this, and then Phil, I'd like your answer too. Match of the night. Was that the match of the night, Mr. Contrarian take, Jeremy Lambert?
That would require that I paid attention to all of these matches.
The championship matches, the champ versus champ matches, right? We saw those. We watched those.
And New Day and Street Profits was the best match of the night to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Phil, what do you think?
I actually think Sasha versus Asuka was match of the night, and I have to give them a lot of credit because I came into that match very uninterested in it because we've seen this thing 3 times. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm never going to complain about seeing Asuka versus Sasha. They're fantastic. But I mean, we've seen this thing dragged out for months. So I wasn't that interested, but they put on a fantastic match. I wasn't expecting Sasha to go over clean. So I was excited about that. And I was like, okay, maybe we're off to the races with Sasha. Maybe we're getting over our old mistakes with her, and we're going to just completely book her sound.
This stay on that track for a second, because that's interesting to me, because I agree with you. It feels like they've come to a conclusion with her. Now, granted, you could debate and you could argue pretty successfully that could have came 4.5 years ago, that conclusion, but that's gone now, right? So what are you going to do? What do we think is an ideal scenario for her? Are we looking at a run till Mania, and then you do a match with Blair, and you set up something that's long-term and it's a special program? Or are we at a point where it's like, forget that. That's the face of the division. Let her run with the ball until she can't run no more. Like, where are you at on that?
I think she's got to get like a big WrestleMania moment because she's the only one out of the 4 of them that doesn't have it. So I feel like she's got to get something big at Mania. And I think they dropped the ball personally because I thought she should have had her first title defense at Mania. It would have made much more sense. But they rushed her back so soon. For whatever reason, I don't know. But now I kind of don't know because now you put yourself in a hole where a lot of people are going to want Bianca to win the match if they have that match. So, and you don't have another good enough heel on the show other than Bayley for Mania. So, either you're going to have Bayley win the Rumble and you're going to run that match back at Mania, or I don't know what you're going to do.
It's interesting because that one of the weird things about the women's division is we're still conditioned to the idea that the women are only allowed, like, you know, the title match is all you get. That's what we're conditioned to, right? And it's obviously we all agree that should change, but it's hard to have faith in that. So you end up in these positions where it's like, okay, Bayley was an anchor of the show for a year and she was the champ, but it seems kind of half likely that she's kind of without a WrestleMania destination now, unless you go back to her and Banks, right? Because Banks has to be in the match at Mania. So it can be kind of puzzling.
Why can't you do a triple threat?
I mean, I don't know what Phil says on that. Triple threats for me are kind of played out at this point. Like, I've seen it, I get it. Everyone does their cool stuff, but to me, it isn't what I think of as, like, you know, the blockbuster billboard match. Just to me, that's just me.
No, I understand that. Like, I'm not saying they should do this triple threat, but I feel like it might be their best option, honestly, because I don't know if you want to do Sasha and Bayley again. Not that I would complain about seeing them get their WrestleMania match. Same with if you do Sasha and Bianca. The Sasha Bianca thing feels kind of tough with both of their current characters. Like, I mean, you could easily do, hey, I'm the best. Let's do this match. Sasha, like, no offense to this current run, it's been short so far. Hasn't done much for me. Like, she's the same character that she's just, I'm the boss. You know, I'm great. Like, her friend turned on her, but she hasn't, like, actually changed at all. She still feels like the same person who was just a dick to everybody all summer. And I'm not, like, I don't think her promos have been that great. It's the same, like, written WWE promo. I'm the best. The division's on notice. I'm the boss. It's boss time. It's like, all right, cool. I get it. And I love Sasha as a performer. Ain't doing nothing though. I've broken Joseph somehow.
Sorry, it's your WWF promo was tremendous. I very much appreciate that.
That's the promo, isn't it? Like that. That's what she says. She holds up the
pretty
title.
spot on.
Yeah, she does it. Hold on, I do it. She does that. She does the thing which comes out. She does that thing, and then she holds up the title. She holds up the title, and she's like, "The women's division is on notice because I'm Sasha Banks, and I'm the boss, and I'm the gold standard. I'm the blueprint, and everybody else just falls in line." That's the promo.
I actually would like to talk about this because there is no point on wrestling Twitter. Then I never feel older than when the topic of shades of grey characters comes up. I actually feel like I've never been online before when I read this. Like, I'm in awe of it. My take is that wrestling is relatively simple, and it would be smart for this character, the legit boss that is the blueprint, the SmackDown Women's Champ, to in some way redeem herself as a person. I pitched years ago, it was only months, but it feels like years, that she should do a deal where Survivor Series was actually Team Bayley, Team Banks. This is before they run through the feud in a week. And she would have to go to all the babyface in the SmackDown locker room and have to prove to them that she'd changed. She had learned that her loyalty to Bayley had made her do things she shouldn't have done. That is so far absent from what we've got right now because, like, it sounds like hyperbole, but Jeremy's not wrong, right? That is what the character is. It's the same character, just about Bayley. And I'm not saying, like, the truth of it is maybe the audience that she's most, she could most cross over into doesn't care. They don't care about wrestling tropes and good versus bad. Maybe that's the truth. I don't know. But me sitting there watching the show, it's like, oh man, it feels like they're overly complicating a character change that should be pretty simple. Where are you at on that one, Phil? Because I currently feel very old when I read the discussion about it.
Yeah, because it feels like it's not a turn, right? It feels like Bayley turned on her, but it's not really a turn because she still acts the exact same way. And I mean, we got evidence of that this week when Asuka just kind of watched her get walloped and was just like, okay. So I don't know. They haven't done anything to make her seem inherently like a face. And they do that a lot. But I think that's kind of the problem you run into with rushing her back so soon. Like, you didn't give this any time to breathe. You didn't give Bayley any time to get, progressively worse as a heel. You just brought her back and go, okay, here's the match, Hell in a Cell.
Yes,
that's it.
that's true. Okay, so we've done the SmackDown deal. Let's go Raw because I know that my friend Jeremy Lambert, he's a very nasty character, and he texts me, what should we do? What's the thumbnail, Joe? I take a couple of hours, granted. I didn't reply immediately. Next thing I know, it's Fiend Alexa actually good, like a full-on Twitter thread on my podcast thumbnail here. So we have to do that, right? So here's the deal, because I've read some of Phil's work on this, and I've seen his tweets, man, and I think we all share the sentiment that one of the biggest strengths of Alexa is that at the point she's at in her career, she does not need the title, right? I mean, we would all share that in an ideal world. However, are we all in consensus that it certainly feels as though they are like, that's where they're going, it feels to me. Because I'm looking at what they're building elsewhere, and we don't need to go back to Lana. We certainly don't need to do that. But it's like, it feels like the Asuka title reign is stalling until either Alexa's ready or Charlotte's back. So firstly, Phil, do you agree with that kind of assumption? And then what do you think of it if it is the case?
So a few weeks ago, it wasn't a few weeks ago, it was last week. I wrote a article for Bleach Report on my picks to win the Rumble. And a few months ago, same with Big E, I thought Sasha was the favorite to win the Rumble. This was before they rushed her back. Now it's kind of up in the air because they haven't really done anything to make anyone stand out other than Alexa. Alexa stands out far ahead of anyone else on Raw. So I feel like she has to be the favorite to win the Rumble. I don't think that's the right decision, but I feel like that's definitely something they would do. And I'm not mad at Asuka versus Alexa at Mania if she keeps the title that long, but I think it's a mistake. And I think you've got plenty of chances to let Alexa kind of run roughshod on the rest of the division and build up some of these other women, but I don't think they're going to do that.
I would agree. And also, the thing that's interesting for Alexa is she's the only woman that has a route to WrestleMania that is kind of away from the general pattern because she has Bray. You can do so much weird stuff with Bray that you can work her into for WrestleMania, right? It's interesting because my kind of assumption when I looked at what they had a week ago after the Rhea NXT matches, me and Jeremy spoke about it, and we said Rhea and Charlotte as the Raw match felt likely to us. I don't know if Rhea's ever coming up. I don't know if it's allowed for people to come up from the women's division anymore. I think we're just supposed to have like 25 world-class females in the NXT division. Meanwhile, Lana's, the centerpiece on Raw. So I don't know what the situation is with that. That's a different thing. But now you look at it and it's like Fiend Alexa against Charlotte sounds like it has all the ingredients of being like kind of a disaster to me. I don't know if they want to go that way, but we all know that Charlotte's going to be in that match. Like Charlotte last year effectively invented a title match for WrestleMania. We got to accept that she's probably going to be in this thing. So you start looking around and it's like, oh, I don't know. I mean, Alexa and Charlotte, I think, in a different universe could be a lot of fun with Alexa as a babyface against Charlotte because the size. Alexa as a clown killer that doesn't sell against Charlotte is a very scary proposition to me. So I don't know, Jeremy, where are we headed on WrestleMania here?
I feel like Alexa is in the similar boat to Bray of like, just they don't need the title. Neither of them needs to be in this feud, so don't do it. So, which means they're going to try to put the title on her because that's what they're going to do. But Joseph, I need your takes on this Alexa and Nikki thing from last night because I don't know if this was the blow off to the feud. No, but you don't think so?
No, I think they're doing. What does she have on her gloves? Someone help. She has play
and pain.
Pain. That was the funhouse, Alexa, and I think Nikki will keep pushing it until you get to whatever her version of the Fiend Alexa will be. And when that happens, I'm sure it'll be a cool moment because WWE is great at those like broad production deals, and I'm sure it will look cool. Obviously, it's a complete mystery how you book such a character because Alexa's frame isn't Bray Wyatt's. Breaking news, I know. I was, to be totally honest, I was on Twitter and it was very polarizing, the Alexa stuff. And I was like, I'm interested to watch it. And I watched it and I was like, well, I just thought it was fine. I didn't think it was anything that was worth like a big sort of take. It was fine to me. It was online. I think Nikki's tremendous at character work anyway. And Alexa does, if nothing else, she commits to this deal. She's certainly thrown herself into it. Like, I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. Do I think, is it my like idealistic view on what I would do with these people? Probably not. But most of the people that hate it probably hate the Bray stuff too. So it's like, it's always going to be polarizing by nature, right? Where was you at on that whole deal last night, Phil?
I thought it was a fun match. You're always going to get a polarizing crowd with Alexa because she's just polarizing at this point. Like some people really, really love her. Her stands go super duper hard. Like her stands are up there with Sasha stands. Like you don't say anything bad about Alexa anywhere, or you're just going to get like thousands of them popping up in your mentions. So you're always going to get like this divisive crowd when it comes to Alexa. But I thought it was fun. I thought everything that Alexa did was great character work. I thought the finish was perfect. And I don't think this is over. I definitely think it's another match coming. But again, I just think this is her. This should be her. This should be her wheelhouse. Like these kind of secondary feuds. Putting her in a title feud is a mistake. And boy, I enjoyed Alexa versus Charlotte at SummerSlam, whichever year that was. That was 2018, I think. 2017.
Somewhere around there, yeah. It all blurs, man.
Yeah. So I enjoyed the Survivor Series match, but I don't want to see that match with like Fiend Alexa. Like, there's too many ways to mess that up. Either you're gonna book Alexa way too strong for that match, or you're gonna have Charlotte go over like they do on everybody that has some momentum, and it's gonna look bad. They need to stay far away from each other.
Charlotte uses the spear, and that's the Achilles heel of the Bray Wyatt. And so I think that'll be the Achilles heel of Alexa Bliss as well. I think that's how you book this.
finishes her with like a botched jackhammer.
Oh my!
I don't think
goodness, that'd
Charlotte's
be
botching a
incredible.
jackhammer on Alexa Bliss. If
That
she
would be
does,
incredible.
she's got problems.
One thing that when Phil was talking there, it really came to my mind. I think that one of the biggest issues with Alexa as a heel champ was they are so rigid in structure of matches and layout that they will be like, okay, Alexa's heel, she should take 80% of this match and do a lengthy 9-minute heat segment. I always thought that was completely in contrast to what she's good at in ring. I am very concerned about how much this new character could lean into that exact issue, you know? And sometimes this stuff is where we are like, we're watching for different things perhaps, because I could definitely see her wrestling matches like Bray and Bruce and co backstage high-fiving each other, talking about how brilliant it is, you know? But it's just, from what I enjoy in the ring, I'm somewhat alarmed by the idea of Alexa like taking lots of the match and sort of doing the whole, Taker deal of like a zombie sort of strolling from spot to spot. This feels like in complete contrast to what she's good at. So the biggest challenge, whether Alexa's in secondary feuds or in the title picture, is finding an in-ring style that will fit whatever this character's going to be, but still do what she... Because I personally thought the babyface run was completely... I mean, as you said, Phil, everything's polarizing, but it split people. I thought her in-ring was way better as a babyface. I think that suits Alexa 10 times more. How you're going to do a clown, murderous clown, Fiend character with 5-foot Alexa who's better when she's on offense or she's doing back and forth stuff. Good Lord, man. I don't know. That's going to be the task, I feel, that decides this thing.
She should just run through people. She shouldn't take any damage. She should just beat them immediately.
Very, very small, Jeremy. She's very, very small.
So?
Very, very small.
David beat Goliath. He was pretty small.
He didn't wear a clown mask and run through him.
How do you know?
True. Yeah, you're right. This fair. I guess Ray sometimes wore a clown mask, right? He sort of rotated them, so maybe we could pull it off.
Yeah.
Anyway,
make it work.
Here's one thing that I do feel, for the sake of the bit that we've established on this show, so I apologise in advance, Phil, because sometimes things get out of hand on this program.
Sometimes.
I do have to mention how fittingly lame did the Undertaker farewell come across to you? Because we did like a 20-minute bit about how like satirical it was that he was going to walk up the ramp, turn his back to the camera and do the arm deal, and the fire and all that stuff would go off, and like, we did a whole bit about it. And I was in awe of how unimpactful that thing was. Phil, what is your whole reaction to one of the most bizarre segments they've probably produced in years?
So there's two takes here. So one take is he comes into this thing like there's a very divided opinion about Undertaker on the internet right now. Either you're like he's the greatest wrestler of all time, nothing can taint that for me. He's in this Mylark bag, nothing can taint that. And then there's the other crowd that's like, I don't know, these political takes, this donation stuff, I don't know about this Taker guy. So you got those two crowds. So coming into this thing, you already are going to have to try and reach like a happy middle ground for both of these crowds. And you come out with like this super overproduced entrance, basically. That's all it was. It's like an overproduced entrance. He comes out, does the hologram, which the hologram was fantastic. I thought that was great. You have like this whole crowd come out for some reason. They don't say anything. They just all come out and gather and then disappear. And then Vince comes out with the most amazingly arched eyebrows I've ever seen and introduces them. And it was so weird. It was like, what's going on here? I kept waiting for the hook. Like, okay, is somebody going to come out and attack him? No. We had to watch him walk all the way back up the top of the ring and stand at the top of the ramp and do the fist. And I'm like, okay, where's this going? Nope. Tagline, we're out. I was like, okay.
So, what rules about this is I watched like the Broken Skull deal he did, and he was like, some people just hate seeing me as like the real person, Mark. And I'm watching this just thinking, like, I am certain that it's worse when you come out with the eyeliner on and the gear. I will bet any money that more of us hate that. And I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this setting, and you've got all these legends. Some not legends. Some of his just friends. And it's like, you know what would be cool if he just came out as Last Ride Mark, had a little chat, laughed with the Godfather, and said farewell. Right? There's no fans in attendance. Just do like a private speech almost. Like, it's basically his Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Boy, could they have gone any further away from that? Because they did like a
Kane was in.
Right, but whoever is, regardless of that, when they did the video package, they were all gone. So there was nothing, there was no heart or emotion to it because there's no fans in attendance. And obviously, the only people there have now left, gone backstage. So they're all of the actual sort of, whether you're even really into Taker or not, all of it took place behind the curtain. While what we got was a Taker promo. He did the funny voice. He had the eyeliner. He had the, the physique is what it is now. God bless him. He's not so young. And it's just, I'm watching it. It felt so tone deaf and out of place and weird to me. Jeremy, was this as weird as Phil and I think it was?
I thought it was weird, but this is exactly what I expected though. This is what I expected. He does the whole Undertaker gimmick. We did the bit, the turn, the fist and all that stuff, the great gift, great send off and everything. This is what I expected from it. I think it would have been better. Booker T on his podcast talks about Undertaker was at the bar the night before, just buying shots for the boys and everything. That's the stuff I want to see. Just throw him in the ring drinking. Just throwing back shots and whatnot. That's much better than, hey, here's the Undertaker in front of a bunch of LED screens and stuff. But the problem with that is Kevin Dunn can't do his big Thunderdome production with just, here's Mark. You gotta have the big production piece for him for this. He was so excited to show off this Undertaker entrance in the Thunderdome that he wasn't going to let it slide. That's the only reason I think they did it this way, is so Kevin Dunn can get his jollies off with the big entrance.
How much do you feel sorry for the poor guy whose one job all night was to push the crowd peace sign when Taker did the rest in peace, and that poor dude smashed that button. It went off twice. It was like, rest in peace. Dude,
there was that in the MIDI entrance theme. What was that nonsense?
Oh, yeah.
What was there was a part where the sound got muddled by whatever those big electro things were, and everything sounded like it was coming out of a kazoo. It was it was crazy. What?
It was not good. It really wasn't. Then he's on Cameo 2 seconds later talking about Elite Scooby-Doo and everything.
See, that's the part that I think Taker fans cringe at. He thinks it's seeing him as a normal person. I'm pretty sure it's seeing him do cameos with his gear on at 55. Yeah. Leave it. Let it be,
There's the great thumbnail on the Hot Ones video. The Hot Ones video is he's just
tragic.
Yeah, he's just Mark. He's Mark in the Hot Ones video, and it's a fine interview, whatever. He's eating his wings and stuff. But in the thumbnail, he's in the full gear and stuff, and he's like,
"This is the saddest thing ever."
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they realize the mystique is dead at this point. And that's why I said you've got two crowds at this point. You've got the crowd that knows Mark as old Texan Mark, and then you have guys that know him as Undertaker Mark. And it's the mystique is gone at this point. Either you're gonna lean into the fact that the mystique is gone, or you're gonna have to do something that is incredibly wrestling. And if you're gonna do this thing that is tied to wrestling tropes, then someone should have attacked him. That's just my opinion of it.
I'm glad no one attacked him. I do not need another send off for the Undertaker. I think he's going to wrestle again. I have full belief that he's going to wrestle again. I'm glad they didn't do an angle. Just let him walk, let him go, and be done with it.
It didn't need to be an angle. I'm saying it would have made perfect sense for Fiend to write him off TV for good. But they weren't going to do that, of course, because they don't want him to be off TV for good.
Yeah.
Right. The thing with Taker is it always rings hollow because we all know that they've done the angle before where a heel literally will just call him out for Mania. And that will be their out. They'll be like, well, he called the dead man, that's it. He's got to come back. But he's just, the thing I didn't get about it was he very proudly talks about the fact that the Boneyard match was a mix of all the Undertakers. And it's like, so wouldn't it have made perfect sense to just be like he wasn't the Undertaker for the Boneyard match? But it's not even like he's never been just like, oh, biker taker on TV. He did it for years. The idea that he's now convinced himself that after producing a 8-part documentary series, he still has to convince us that he wears the hat and the jacket. It's just, I don't know, man. There's a lot going on there. I didn't want to be the guy that puts a damper on it for people that are like still all in. I think it's wild that there's still a lot of people that are, but like they are. So like, I hope they enjoyed it. Sure, I thought the Paul Bearer moment was cool. I'm glad that he got like even though it was kind of, wacky and wrestling, at least like they featured him, right? Because he's an important part of that story. But it was weird. It was super weird to put that on after a match between the two biggest stars of the current generation. That's even weirder.
A couple super chats to get to, and then we're talking hoops, everybody. Evan Wright says, just wondering your thoughts on the Britt Baker talk show segment. The first one was really good. Nice to see Tay Conti on it this week. Phil, have you seen the segment?
I have not. Sorry.
Joseph?
Nor have I.
Is she hanging banners? Is she getting shots up in the
Sorry,
gym?
Evan.
That's what she should be doing.
Sorry, buddy.
I will watch it. As soon as this show's on, I'll watch it and tweet about it. If you follow me on Twitter, Evan, I'll try to get something out of it.
I don't remember I think it's called like the waiting room, and Jack Evans and Helico were on the first. It was fine. She looks a little uncomfortable in it, but I mean she'll grow into it and be great at it, I'm sure.
To be honest, I think it's a bad idea. Not because Britt's not great. I just think, to me, the talk show deal is like so inherently WWE bullshit.
My issue with it is that it's on Dark, and that show's like 5 hours long. Like, we don't need a talk show segment on top of 16 matches that they put on that show.
Do you not think, we haven't talked about AEW at all, so I actually, after I say this, I just want to get a quick Phil take on AEW generally. Okay, that's all I want to do. But I just want to quickly say, to me, the one thing that they can beat them on easily is like when they do actual wrestling promos, because that's just such a distant thing from wrestling fans' brains at this point. When someone does an actual promo, I'm like, oh my God, this is craziness. Talk show stuff is very WWE TV to me. Phil, are you, it seems to me based on your social media and such, I know you did the awesome story for Complex, which I enjoyed very much, but you seem to enjoy AEW. Any general takes on, they've got a big kind of month coming up after this week, they're into the big stuff, right? So would you say that's your leading source of like fan excitement as you cover this stuff?
It's interesting because I feel like when they do like the actual like in-ring stuff, they are like best every week almost. Like I feel like they come with the best in-ring competition every week. But sometimes like their presentation, like I'm not quite sure where we're going with it. I mean, and you could make that case with, of course, like the Britt Cargill thing. I mean, the Brandy Cargill thing. And tons of other things. Like when they miss, they miss. Like it's a whiff. But when they knock it out the park, they knock it out the park well. And I think things like the Top Flight signing and just how well they treated them last week and the video package they did for them, those things are great. And those are the things that I like about them as a company because they don't stray away from the fact that we care about indie wrestling. We want indie wrestlers to seem like a big deal on our product.
And I think in a lot of ways, the Eddie Kingston deal really set a precedent for that, right? A strong precedent of like, he's in many ways, I know a lot of people don't enjoy the Elite guys. That is what it is. I can't change anyone's opinion at this point. That's fine. But Eddie was a good example of like why AEW can be cool because it's a major league promotion. Sorry, cool. It's a major league promotion, but it isn't limited like guys signs for WWE, you're not going to see them for months and they'll repackage them, they've got to do the tryout, they've got to do this, and it's like the beauty of AEW is you get an act like Top Flight just comes on, it's like they are now part of the show, enjoy them, and there's a fun fluidity to that I think they need to kind of capitalize as much as they can without over like the roster is already very big obviously, so it's difficult, but it's a cool little thing that they can do there.
They should have sent Ricky Starks to a tryout and not signed them at all. Just wanted to make a request to all three of you to tweet at Warren Hayes and just ask him if he knew Top Flight got signed. It's for a big joke on him. If you guys want to do that, go for it.
Sure.
NBA talk. Yes. NBA talk. Send in your super chats, get your question, comment, statement Red on Air. We're going to talk hoops. Phil, you don't like the Chicago Bulls draft. Why?
Listen, so there's two varying things that happened here. So going into this thing, we just got like, if you understand Chicago sports, we just got like one of the worst duos in general management out of town in guard packs. So I'm looking at this new regime like, all right, fresh start. Let's get this pick. I'm waiting. So we've got the number 4 pick. Not a great draft, not a deep draft, but I'm just waiting for something to go, all right, this team has changed. This isn't the Bulls that I've been languishing and watching for the last, decade or so. Came in, I was excited. I had my Bulls cap on. I was sitting watching it, had like 3 screens up because I was watching all the wrestling, and I had the draft onto the side. And I'm looking at, top 3 picks went as I expected. So I was like, okay, we've got a lot of options. This pick comes in, Patrick Williams. And I said, okay, haven't heard a heck of a lot about this kid. He's good, like he's versatile. So he could play more than one position. Cool. I don't know if that's a top 4 pick, but okay. So I'm just letting it simmer for a while, and I'm just like, this is totally a Bulls pick. This is totally a Bulls pick. This is totally a Bulls pick. And I'm just like not letting it bother me. I'm just like, nope. So I'm watching other people pick, and I'm like, why did we pick that guy 4th? Like, why did we do that? So just still watching, and so I kind of have this love-hate relationship with Knicks fans. And that's because Knicks fans are like avid Bulls haters, from my opinion. And especially
really
like
fighting for the bottom of the barrel there.
Like, well, yeah, of course. But like the especially when Mike was on the team, when we had Jordan, there was a lot of peanut gallery talk from New York fans. So, I always enjoyed laughing at them, and they've become like my punching bag. Every time they lose and they do things bad, I'm like, at least, as bad as we are, at least we're not the Knicks. So my favorite going into this draft is I wanted Obi Toppin. I made that known on Twitter. Like, I was like, oh, I really hope we get Obi Toppin. So I'm just watching. Obi didn't go in the top 4. He didn't go 6. And I was like, he's going to drop to the Knicks, isn't he? And so when it got announced, I was like, the Bulls really let the Knicks of all teams get Obi Toppin. And hey, great story. Brooklyn kid going back to New York. Fantastic. They don't need Obi Toppin, man. They have like 5 forwards on that team. Yeah. And I mean, you can make the case that the Bulls don't need Obi Toppin, but that's a pick that I feel like we should have made. And so I was irritated as a Bulls fan, and I was like, I can't laugh at the Knicks this time. They got this right. It just, everything about it bothered me. And I've seen videos of this kid play. Like, Patrick Williams is going to be decent, but you picked a kid that didn't even start. He came off the bench. He wasn't even starting for Florida State.
I love that this is like it's part who you pick, but it's almost all Knicks. It's like, it's the bet that it was the Knicks, right? It's like, I can't even laugh at the Knicks anymore. God damn. I'm not a draft guy, so I can't. Jeremy, I know you're not particularly either, but do you have any takes on the pick?
It seems like Bulls fans outside of O'Neal don't really like the pick, so I would assume it's a bad pick. I don't know. I think the Bulls were in discussions to trade that pick. Like Phil said, it seemed like the top 3 were, all right, those are kind of set in stone. After 3, it gets kind of dicey of like who is actually like going to be good and a difference maker and stuff. If I was the Bulls, I probably would have tried to trade out of that spot, trade back, acquire a future first, acquire some seconds or something. They did what they did. The Bulls are just going to be, I like the Bulls and the Knicks are like, Zach LaVine sucks. No, RJ Barrett sucks. Like, what are we arguing about here? Zach LaVine and RJ Barrett? That's who we're arguing about? Like, come on.
Hang on a second. Look, Zach LaVine has his flaws, but it's not go that far, okay?
He's not RJ Barrett.
But yeah,
I don't mind Zach LaVine, okay? I think he's actually really good, and on a better team would be much better. But
yes,
I mean, you're fighting for 13th and 12th in the East. Like, is this that's the part that cracks me up. It's like, this is a real rivalry. Like, oh, we're going to get that 12th seed. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, And don't get me wrong, I don't think Obi is gonna put the New York Knicks over and make them this fantastic team. But I thought he was a good pick for them, and it's mostly because I like the kid and I wanted to draft him. And it was just kind of like looking at a girl that you've been sitting at the bar wanting to talk to all night, and you looking at this loser across the floor that has like his shoes untied or something else, can't get anything else together, and they somehow pull this chick, and it's like, why did this happen? Like, what's going on?
Tremendous analogy.
That was strong.
Analogy.
There was layers to that. You kept adding as you went there. That was impressive. This is the benefit of not being a draft guy. Is like, it could be any name, and like I'm one YouTube video away from working myself into being excited.
Yeah.
Like, I'm one away. Jeremy's going to have to become a draft guy because in a couple of years you're going to have every pick in one single.
Couple years. So. It's going to be next year.
I need to do this, Phil. I'm glad you got that out, the ball stuff. But my friend Jeremy texted me last week, I believe it was, and he said, "It's been very tough, Joe. I'm struggling greatly because Steven Adams has left the Oklahoma City Thunder." And he'd been saying for a very long time he was fine with losing him. But it seemed that the moment it happened, it was her. And I understand that. That makes sense.
It's
Jeremy,
true.
just go ahead, man. Like, get out, talk about Steve, bid farewell.
I've been texting with my Thunder buddy as well. And look, I didn't like Steve. OKC would have beaten the Rockets in the first round if Steven Adams just didn't play a single second in that series. And I'm still mad. Good luck with that Billy Donovan as your coach, by the way, Phil. I'm still mad that he played Steven Adams that many minutes in that series. I was ready for him to go. I really was. But like the moment it happens, it's still sad, you know, when Westbrook got traded, we knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming. But like it's still a sad moment. They did really well on that deal, but to get a first round pick for Steven Adams, who was on an expiring contract, and I just don't know how much like he contributes to that Pelicans team. And then they signed him to a 2-year deal, which
was strange. I wanted to ask you about that because you're like the Steven Adams expert on the podcast.
Steven Adams expert.
Like I was.
Thanks, mate.
To me, the whole thing with Zion was just get a big man that's not going to clog up the paint, can shoot the ball and let Zion like just get to the rim. And it's like, yeah, Steve Adams is the guy for that job. Great job. Like that seemed odd to me.
I think they're just gonna like pound teams. Like they're just gonna try to break the centers. They're just gonna try to break the front court of all these other teams. Like we got Zion and Adams. I mean, who is gonna try to get in the restricted area with these two, just banging bodies with them?
It's defense, right? Is what they're going for, I guess.
His defense has slipped so much. Though.
Oh my god! Like, what are you paying for?
I don't know. I don't know why they signed him to that extension before he played a game with him. It was a baffling decision. But hey, thanks for the first round pick. Thanks for the couple second round picks. Thanks to George Hill, who we're going to flip into another first round pick. Thanks to Darius Miller, who we're going to flip into a second round pick, and all these other guys who I don't know, who I'm not going to learn because they're going to be traded in 2 weeks for more draft picks. That's what's going to happen with this team.
Okay, I have a question for my guests here today. I know it's my show, Jeremy. You're my guest now. I just wanted to say that. You guys are far more knowledgeable than me, so I pass the ball to you and I ask a simple question. Am I allowed to be excited about the Philadelphia 76ers next year? Just, answer as fairly as you want. It may hurt me, but that's fine.
Phil, do you have takes on the Sixers?
It depends on what they do over the next week because I think they have a much better chance of getting Harden than the Nets do. And I'm not quite sure if Harden's going to leave Houston, but he's kind of almost burned that bridge. You know, once you kind of try to out your owner as a Trump guy and do all this other stuff to get out of town, you're pretty much probably going to be out of there. And I think the chances of him going to Philly with Morey are a lot higher than him going to Brooklyn. So it all depends. Now, I just don't know what is the upside of keeping Ben Simmons at this point.
Oh, not a Ben Simmons guy. Oh no, Joseph. That's got to be disappointing to hear.
I told Phil, be fair. I have to see. I'm here to listen and learn. That's all. Go ahead, Phil.
I just don't know what the upside is, and I mean that's not to say that Ben Simmons is bad, but he's just not going to be a franchise guy, at least in my opinion. Like I don't think he has the scoring ability to be a franchise guy. And unless you're going to move him into a second option and bring in a guy like Harden, I don't know, and I don't see a scenario where they can get Harden and keep Simmons.
No, I agree with that. I think the idea of it being like Harris, I think, is insane. Like, there's no reason for the Rockets to be like, yes, we want to be a cheap team. Let's trade for Tobias Harris's 4-year, 150. Like, that's not happening.
No.
However, Phil, when I asked you to be fair, what I actually meant was, please tell me I should be excited. So I'm very disappointed by your answer. Jeremy, have you got any positivity to even this out?
I think I texted you, would you do the Simmons for Harden deal? And what was your reply to that?
I don't know, kayfabe, brother. I probably said yes, but I'm working a bit here. It's not out of me like that. I think your deal was like,
I like
Simmons,
the Sixers.
right?
Joseph is now frozen on the Sixers talk here. I like the Sixers if they keep the roster together. They actually got some shooting. Curry, Danny Green, maybe Terrence Ferguson. Probably not. I'm not even going to try to sell the idea of Terrence Ferguson. But they got some shooters. They got players who fit better with what they want to do with Simmons and Embiid. The question is, can Simmons and Embiid stay together on the floor, and can they maximize each other? That's a Doc Rivers problem to figure out. I do think the Sixers got better just because they got a little bit more balance than, hey, let's go with 5 guys who are 6'10", and none of them can create their own shot.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, the coaching is going to be better. I mean, people can say what they want. I know the Clippers are the running joke of the league, but Doc is going to bring better coaching to the team.
Am I back? Am I here?
Yeah, you're fine.
I didn't know I was frozen that whole time. Very scary.
No. It was briefly.
Okay, good. I agree with Phil. The Doc thing is like, it's the deal with the coaches is, if you go by like NBA Twitter, there's like 1.5 good coaches in the whole league, right? So at some point, it's like you got to do with what you got. And like Doc is a good coach. It's just there's issues there that have come along the way, but you have to do what you got to do. I am frightened by my own optimism for this team. I am very scared by the fact that I've allowed myself to fall in love again. Shouldn't have happened. Should have learned from my mistakes. But I'm here. I'm convincing myself that Danny Green is actually great. And everyone was a fool to poke fun at him. And look, Phil, I'm fine with you laughing at Jeremy's Lana takes. You can't laugh outwardly at my Danny Green optimism. Okay, that's too far. Okay, I'm trying myself here. Here, Danny Green, championship DNA. Right? I'm glad the camera cut off.
DNA, baby.
There you go, right?
Big pot for championship DNA.
Follow the pattern. Everywhere he goes, it's rings. I'm ready. Get the banners ready. Get the championship ceremony ready. I don't know what's going to happen, but I will say, and I know Maury is like, he's somewhat polarizing, but it is nice that like when a move happens, you have like a faith that if nothing else, that dude generally has like an idea of what he wants to achieve.
Yeah.
Any deal that Elton Brand did, it was like, I don't know if he just had a bad morning. Like, I don't know if he had a tough night last night. Like, I don't know if he... And to be fair to Elton, I don't think a lot of it was him at all. I think it was him being used as the front man for the front office. But at least with Maury, it's like if he does something crazy, there's probably a method to his madness, if nothing else. So there's my optimism, at least.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead, Phil.
Elton's kind of got like a rough go of it as a leaguer, right? Because he drafted to my team, stayed here, played a pretty good year, terrible season, then immediately becomes a Clipper. Like, he doesn't know what winning looks like, so it's like you can expect him.
There was no need.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. It's like, yeah, the Sixers just signed a guy who's just a big loser. Now,
great big loser.
Run the franchise, Elton, you loser.
On his office wall, he's got the nameplate loser.
Ray Callahan's got a super chat. Bulls pick was disappointing. Wins Jordan versus LeVar. What is Michael Jordan doing in Chicago? Like, they're like that ninth seed's looking real good right now. Like, that's what they're going for, right? Like, I mean, I guess I get it. This is why I appreciate what like Sam Presti is actually doing, is like, you're either trying to compete for a title or just tear it all down and try to compete for a title in 5 years or whatever. Like, yeah, Presti could have just kept Chris Paul, could have kept the team together, probably run it back, gotten the 6th seed or whatever. I mean, maybe other teams get better, so you fall off a little bit, but fine, sure. But what's the longevity of that team? It's not much. Just tear it all down, get all these draft picks, try to hit on a superstar at some point. The fan base is going to take a hit this year and for the next couple of years. Hopefully they understand. The Hornets, though, they're just like, Terry Rozier, got to give him $30 million. Gordon Hayward, $40 million. Got to do it. If you got a chance to do it, you just have to. Like, they're going to trade for Al Horford here pretty soon. And great. Give me some picks. Give us some picks for Al Horford. We'll take it. I don't know what they're doing in Charlotte. I just don't.
Well, my thing is, once you got past Wiseman, Melo was the pick. So I understood them picking him because he was the best pick available at third at that point. Now, just the optic of Jordan being the one to draft him is hysterical, and it is one of the greatest gifts of 2020. But it's just, I don't know. I don't know what their aim is. Like, you've got four guards on that team that play basically the same way. You've got Rozier,
Devontae Graham.
There you go. You got Graham
and LaMelo now.
And LaMelo. So you're gonna have to move a guard off that team.
Trade for Russell Westbrook. Got to do it. If you got a chance to trade for Russell Westbrook, why not?
I don't see Russ going. Yeah, I'm going to Charlotte to play with Hayward. Like, I'm leaving this Citrus to go play.
I mean, that increases their ceiling for better or for worse. I mean, it takes them from a 9th seed to an 8th seed, maybe a 7th seed. Like, if the goal is to make the playoffs, Russell Westbrook helps you make the playoffs more than Devontae Graham or Terry Rozier.
Yes, but Kimber also made more sense, but we went with Rozier, so I don't know.
Yeah, the Rozier thing was just strange in many ways. But
you're texting me at 3 a.m. like, Jeremy, Terry Rozier, talking myself into him.
We had Al Horford. I need players that can dribble the ball, Jeremy. Every time I get fired up, the camera turns off. So what's the starting five for the Hornets? I guess they got Washington, right? They got Hayward. Who's the center these days in Charlotte, folks? Anyone?
No idea. Biyombo? They just a Zeller probably. They got
Cody
like
Zeller.
Zellers, I'm sure.
Oh, baby. It's not like
Cody Zeller, jeez.
No, it's a bad team. It's a
Washington's
bad team.
Not big either, right? So he's like 6'7", PJ Washington, right?
It's not a good team at all.
I tried to talk myself into it.
That Hornets team is awful. Like,
small ball, baby. Rozier at the 3. Let's go with it. Let's run. Let's run the floor.
I mean, look, the 3-guard lineup worked for Oklahoma City, but I think Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Dennis Schroeder kind of just better than LaMelo Ball, Devontae Graham.
Prove it. Scary Terry says otherwise. Prove it, Jeremy Lambert. What are you going to do?
That Hornets team is just poorly constructed. I have no idea what they're doing. But if they want Al Horford, you got some first round picks to give up. We'll gladly give you Al Horford.
Yeah. I don't see Charlotte. I don't see Charlotte winning over 30 games. Maybe
that's generous.
I don't
see them winning over 20 games.
I don't know. The East is bad, man. Like they'll get
it's not good, but like that's a bad team. Like, that's just a really bad basketball team.
I guess the East isn't even bad anymore. It's just top heavy, I guess, right? There's like a huge drop off from like the top 5-6 to the rest. The rest is pretty weak.
Right. The rest is just stuck in mediocrity, and that's where they're just going to probably be forever. But they think they can win or something. The Magic, anytime you got a chance to run back the 8th seed Orlando Magic squad, you just got to do it,
Hey, bro, they're not running it back. They let Augustine go. Okay, new era in Orlando, baby. New era.
Just god awful.
What way to end this? Talking about the Magic and the Hornets, by the way.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel bad because I feel like it's going to get worse because I think Giannis is not going to stay with Milwaukee. I don't see him.
Oh, I hope you're wrong.
I don't see him re-signing.
Hang on, why is Jeremy so upset about this? What's happening, Jeremy?
Dude, I do not want Giannis to let's go to the Warriors or the Lakers. Like, I'm tired of these dudes going to leaving small markets. As a Thunder fan who dealt with the pain of Kevin Durant, who ruined 4th of July 2016, I don't want to see Giannis. He did. Dude, my mom texted me. Legitimately, my mom texted me. I'm sitting on the couch. Waiting for this Kevin Durant decision. I could not sleep that night. Just could not sleep. Okay. It's 4th of July, sitting on the couch and waiting on this Durant decision. His stupid letter comes through. Next chapter. Fuck off, dude. It comes through and I read it and all this stuff. Just very upset. I'm so upset. My mom texts me and she goes, "Happy 4th of July." And I'm like, fuck this holiday. Fuck Kevin Durant. That was my text back to her. And she's like, "What happened?" And I was just like, "I don't care, Mom. Fuck America." That's what I said.
What does this have to do with Giannis leaving Milwaukee?
Guys, I don't need Milwaukee fans going through that pain.
He might not leave on the 4th of July. He may do it on the 3rd or the 5th or the 6th. You don't know, Jeremy Lambert. You need to calm down, man. This started very calmly. What's happened here? We've all lost our minds. The 4th of July slander.
Don't bring up Kevin Durant around me. I don't think anybody did.
Kevin Durant. We were talking about Giannis leaving Milwaukee, and you were like, Kevin Durant, 4th of July, fuck him.
I don't want Milwaukee fans to go through this pain. Pulowski's going to block them all. Pulowski's blocking people anytime you talk bad about Milwaukee and stuff.
This is incredible.
I feel bad for them.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I'm sorry. We should never have gone there. We'll never mention a star leaving a small market again. Never again.
It's very hurtful. 4th of July got ruined because of that.
That's fine. We know we'll never go back to that. I promise.
So not high on the Brooklyn Nets. Then is that what you're saying? Not high on them.
No, I hope they get Harden, and I hope it's just the biggest train wreck in the entire world. I clearly love Kevin Durant now, and I've forgiven everything, and he's fine, and it's great. Good on him. He's happy in Brooklyn. Cool.
Yeah.
Play with Kyrie. Whatever.
Forget.
But I mean, I'm sure you've watched sports long enough to understand that
Sadly,
nobody rides off into the sunset in New York. Nobody gets their happy ending in New York. When has that ever worked for anyone?
I agree. I think it's going to be a disaster, but I mean,
good. I hope it's a disaster.
I think we knew
so.
that.
I mean, yeah,
this guy doesn't win another title ever again.
The 4th of July has destroyed me. I'm sorry.
This is sports Jeremy coming out right here. This is what you got to deal with. All right? This is what you got to deal with.
This conclude this with some form of format and structure. Phil, NBA Finals next year. Who you taking from the West, the East, and then eventually who you think's going to become champ? I know it's early, I know, but like just for the sake of bringing some formality back to this.
I think gotta assume that the Lakers are coming out of the West. Nobody else stands out at the moment. Clay getting hurt is colossal. Him getting hurt, like I think they were like the closest to come back. I mean, they still have a lot of issues, but they were going to at least be able to compete. Now I have no clue. I don't believe in Denver beating the Lakers at this point. Getting us all puts the Lakers over them, I think. So yeah, got to go with Lakers. East is kind of a toss up. If Durant comes back and he's Durant and he doesn't get hurt, probably Nets. Yeah, probably Nets. I could see Miami going back, but they're gonna have a tough time repeating that season. That was just
Yeah, I agree. I always feel like I'm being dismissive when I talk about Miami, but it's more the fact that it's just like it feels like it went so great for them last year that it's almost not last year, like about a month ago. It's almost like it's hard to it's difficult to see it going the same way, but that doesn't mean it won't, right? Like they're probably the best coach team in the league, so I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, I'll say this much: the broadcasters would be very happy with a Brooklyn Lakers final, right? The amount of different plot narratives and soap opera bullshit they could tie into that one, they'd be very happy. So I don't know. That'd be fun.
I think the Lakers. I do think the Clippers got better. I think Ibaka is an upgrade over Montrez for how that team just kind of functions. So I like that move on their part. The Lakers are still better. Like Dennis Schroeder is an upgrade. Like he's an actual like third guy for that team. Sorry, Kyle Kuzma. Like the Lakers, for the Lakers, I guess they don't technically have Anthony Davis right now. I mean, they will, but
they will.
The Lakers, the only way I see something happen to them if like LeBron actually gets old. And I don't know if that guy is going to get old. on the basketball court. They're going to coast for like 2 months because LeBron's going to be like, I ain't worried about this first 2 months. I didn't get enough time off. I'll just take it easy. And then they'll flip a switch and they'll be fine. In the East, I really want to just talk myself into Milwaukee because I like the Drew Holiday deal. I don't know what they have like coming off the bench right now. I do think missing out on Bogdanovich was kind of big. They did get Augustine, right? They did get DJ Augustine. Like that was a good pickup. I feel like we got another piece or two there. If the Nets, I think the Nets are just going to be a disaster. Really, like on the court, they'll be okay. It really feels like people are going to talk themselves into the Nets the same way they talk themselves into the Clippers and just completely ignore like actual chemistry and off-court stuff. And that's my issue with the Nets.
Just to be clear, Jeremy, because I'm just picking up what you were putting down there. You know, when you mentioned Anthony Davis's contract situation, was you speculating that he could in fact be the center that the Charlotte Hornets are waiting for?
It could. Technically, the Hornets could sign him. Like they could have spent that money on Anthony Davis instead of Gordon Hayward.
Sign and trade with Terry Rozier. Look, everyone watching this knows who I'm picking from the East because I am a hopeless romantic and I am predicting the Philadelphia 76ers to not let me down. I refuse to give in. The West, I'm with both you guys. I think the Lakers have got better. So, like, to me, they're the obvious pick. But I think Phil nailed it with, like, Clay being hurt really takes the luster away from one of the more interesting dynamics of the West, right? Like, the whole thing of can Golden State come back and reclaim what they had? Yeah. It's there, but not really now, right? Because Clay's just too integral to it. So, I don't know. I guess Philly to win it all, right, guys? That's what we concluded here, right? That was our final point, wasn't it?
It all depends. I mean, if the Clippers manage to get Rondo instead of letting him sign this weird deal in Atlanta, I think the Clippers could have potentially been a favorite too. But you're not going to win with Beverly as your starting point guard. You're not. He's not going to give you the scoring you need. I mean, his defense is there, but it's inconsistent. Like you're not going to win with him as your starting point guard.
Patrick Beverly got them tricked on defense. He don't actually play no defense.
It's the creation too, right? Like their best players are both guys that generally like to get their own, and it's like when your point guard is a guy who just isn't like an actual point guard, right? It gets a very clunky offense as a result.
Yeah. So I guess win it all. I guess Lakers is my guess.
That's probably Aaron Entertainment leaves a super chat. Then we're going to play the full Goldberg cameo. Goldberg, one of the two. We're going to play the full Gilbert cameo. Aaron Entertainment says Ibaka is an upgrade over Harrell. Yes, I agree. Yeah. And I think they're better for that. But I'm with these two in that. Patrick Beverly being your starting point guard. If they could get Derrick Rose,
oh my God, I would love it.
It's not like terrible. I know Derrick Rose isn't Derrick Rose, but he can at least still get buckets.
Listen. I have been, when I tell you the Obi Toppin thing was hurting. If Derek went to the Lakers, I would have just shuddered.
Is he on the Clippers, Phil?
Could not watch it. I've watched LeBron take two Chicago guys and turn them into his lackey and sidekick for too long. I will not let him do it. Dude, I'm sorry. This is almost like you saying Durant was just hurt my soul. I was like, please don't do this, Derek. Do it. Don't do it.
He's going to the Clippers, not the Lakers. Phil, he's going to the Clippers.
Hopefully he goes to the Clippers. Do not go to the LA team. Don't do it.
Why would they downgrade
go to
Derrick
Clippers,
Rose from Detroit?
Get out of Detroit. There's nothing.
He's too tall, or he's too small for Detroit. Yeah, like 8 centers right now.
It works so well for us.
He's got to get out of Detroit.
All right, everybody. This is the
out
full...
of Detroit. First of all,
go ahead, Phil. Go ahead.
Now I was going to say, first of all, nothing good has happened in Detroit for a Chicago player ever. What are you doing in Detroit? Like,
Detroit, I think they need more centers. That's their issue right now. All right, everyone.
Get more cowbell. Yeah.
The full Gilbert cameo purchased to us by our buddy Tank Bearclaw. Here we go.
What's up, Jeremy and Joe? How you doing? It's Gilbert, the WWF's longest reigning light heavyweight champion. What's up, man? So I understand I got contacted by a friend of yours that you have a little internet show there. And, well, he asked me to do him a favor. So, without further ado, I hope you can get this. And, hey, Tank Bearclaw, you got it, brother. This one's for you. This is Gilbert, and welcome to the destruction. I said it wrong. Distraction, as I said, destruction. It's distraction. You gotta get it right, man. What the hell is wrong with you? This is Gilbert, and welcome to the destruction. How's that, brother? Is that good enough for you? Yeah. Let's do it one more time. Just you cut it and get the right one, okay? All right. Hey, this is Gilbert, and welcome to the distraction. Hey, brother, how was that? Was that good enough for you? Can you cut that out of there? Yeah. All right, well, Tank, you take it easy, and you guys say tank the tanks. Or say tanks to tank. That's it, yeah. All right, look, you guys have a ball, man. This is Gilbert and Tanks. Oh, man, look at see ya.
What a man, Gilbert.
Wow.
I like how he wanted us to cut the good one. I was like, no, the destruction one is much better. That's the one I'm cutting for the intro.
Every time I watch it, it appears to be extended in some way. I always thought I'm watching like a director's cut. I always think he said it now. That's it. He said it the amount of time. And then he goes, how about this, brother? And every time it feels like I get one more of them. It's quite the experience. Every time it throws me off. But yes, that is apparently something I'm going to hear every 4 days now. So, wow, what a treat that'll be.
No, we won't use it on the review show, but every week, that's our intro. The destruction.
Okay, sure. I'm fine with that. I mean, at this point, it's about as best as we can do, right? It's about what this show deserves, so...
Hey, sure. If anybody else wants to buy us a cameo to get, if you want to spend $1,000 on the Undertaker, being like, watch the distraction.
No,
go for
I would
it.
rather Gilbert.
I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. If you want to purchase us cameos for distraction intros, go for it, everybody. All right?
You're
more than welcome to do it.
It is awesome. It's very, very cool. But it was when it turned up in my DMs, I just couldn't quite believe what I was watching. But I'm very thankful for it. It's very cool.
It turned up at 2 a.m. in my DMs last night, and I watched it and was just in awe of what I had just seen. Just amazing stuff. Thank you to Tank Bearclaw for getting that for us. Dwayne Gilbert, exceptional man, Joseph. Phil, appreciate you joining us today. Where can the people find you?
Always a pleasure, sir. Find me on Twitter at PhilDL616. You can find my writing at Bleacher Report and Sportskeeda.
Joseph, where can the people find you?
Where can they find me, Jeremy? New ad alert. Get rid of the numbers. Doesn't need them anymore. There's only one Joe Hulbert now. At Joe Hulbert on the Twitter. I now use Fleet. I fill it with random thoughts, which sometimes are just pictures of Barry Windham. Sometimes they'll be just sort of this will do good numbers, and I'll do it as a case study on what people click on Fleet. That's my new thing. If you like my tweets where I just tweet single words and then delete them after an hour, you will love my Fleet because that's effectively what they are. They're just pictures. So that's the thing I do. That's the only reason I came on to that effectively, just talk about Fleet. It took me an hour and 40 minutes to get in, but it's just, as both of these guys know, before I said, I've got to talk about Fleet. So Fleet, I have no articles coming up because I don't write anymore because I'm a coward. I'm just a podcaster that doesn't have a working camera or internet connection. So tune into this show whenever it's on next. I don't even know what we're doing next, but we talk about wrestling sometimes and do films and stuff. Jeremy, thanks.
How do you know if your fleets are doing how do you know what's
it
doing
tells you.
numbers?
It says this many people saw this one.
Right. But if you click the fleet, they don't know what it is. So it's like a mystery.
Why are you doing this? Can you not just let me pretend I was going to do a spreadsheet at the end and be like, female, women's division 2016 pictures do better than Barry Windham 1993 pictures. And now you've taken that away from me. You've ruined my bit before it even started. The ladies, it's not only started walking and you've cut it off already. So that's the deal. Thanks for joining us, Phil. This is what you usually do on here. As you can tell, it's a pretty wild show, but it's a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Thanks everybody for listening. Check out Fightful.com, Fightful Select, sign up. We'll be back next Tuesday doing a movie review. No idea what we're reviewing. Don't know if Jack's going to join us. We're still figuring things out. We're figuring out a lot of things, a lot of moving parts at the distraction offices this week. What was that? Yes. Yes, you're right. We'll talk to everybody then.